Hi, my name's Tasha Miner. I founded Hounds in Harmony Dog Training, and I wanted to answer a question from a lot of prospective clients as well as colleagues regarding how I deal with aggressive or reactive or just fearful and shy dogs, and what tools are in my toolbox to deal with those dogs. A lot of people see me as a woman, see me as a young woman, see me as slight of stature. I'm only 5'6". I don't weigh that much. And wonder how can I possibly control a very aggressive German Shepherd or a very aggressive Malinois or a dog who outweighs me or is very intent on being aggressive. Do I have what it takes to deal with a dog like that? And the answer is yes, and most of the time I actually do better with dogs than my male counterparts, because men are more often than not a very big trigger just because of the change in stature. So I actually have an advantage in not upsetting the dog as much as my male counterparts. I still upset dogs, certainly. I get a not so welcome at many of my clients' houses, and that's totally fine. My message to any owners who are watching this video who have dogs who react to people or other dogs or anything else in an aggressive way is to reassure you that your dog is not bad. Your dog is not mean. Your dog is absolutely 100%, in my opinion, more than likely a very good dog. And I don't view dogs who display aggressive behaviors as like of the devil. Lots of people say Cujo, and yes, they look ugly, but generally they are very good dogs underneath that really scary display. And so whatever the motivation for that display is, I just wanted to make sure you know your dog is probably a very good dog underneath it all, so we can work on it. So that said, how do I work on it? I am very heavily influenced by Leslie McDevitt's Look at That, and that's a game from Control Unleashed, as well as elements of Grisha Stewart's Bat, which is somewhat controversial in the Pawsitive training camp, but the way I do it, I think, is very low stress. I don't do things that will upset the dog before they're ready. And then there's also a lot of just basic counterconditioning and desensitization games that I use that, again, very low stress and very gradual process. The thing to remember with aggressive dogs or reactive dogs is that you're not really changing a behavior. The growling, snarling, lunging, scary stuff are all symptoms of the real issue, which more than likely is fear. Even if it's just uncertainty, the dog doesn't have skills with dealing with a situation. It's more than likely fear that they're experiencing that's causing all of the scary stuff that the owner doesn't want to see, that the public doesn't want to see, and I'm quite sure the dog actually doesn't want to be in that state either. So when I meet a dog for the first time, I really like, and Pawsitive people will be surprised to hear me say this, but I really like the phrase from Cesar Millan, which is no touch, no talk, no eye contact. A lot of dogs really thrive when you put those 3 rules in place, especially when they're fearful. If you don't look at them, you're not giving them a confrontational body language cue. When dogs do this to each other, they're not doing it to make sure that you're paying attention and not distracted like people do. They're doing it to get confrontational and to let you know they mean business. So dogs who start to stare are giving me a clue that whatever they're staring at is making them uncomfortable. If a dog is across the street, for example, and the dog I'm working with starts to stare, I will interrupt right there and get more space before the explosion can happen. I don't always have that opportunity. Owners don't always have that opportunity. We get surprised by life all the time. But that would be the goal. You want to catch these really subtle signals early. And then no talk is also really important. I want the dog to experience me in stages. So I will be very quiet when I first meet a dog. I don't start, oh, what a cute puppy, la la la, until after the dog is showing a natural curiosity and interest in me. And I encourage all new people to take that approach with any dog you don't know, just in case. And then with the no touch, that's probably the most important one for the safety of the person as well as the emotional health of the dog. So many people think that if they can just pet the dog, they will prove that they are a friendly person and the dog has nothing to fear. As well-intentioned as that is, and as much as I support that mentality that you want to make friends and prove that you're not a threat, touching is actually the #1 way to prove that you are a threat in dogland. So please don't touch scared dogs. And, lots of people expect a really big show in the first session, and it's usually pretty anticlimactic, which is how I want it to go. I don't want to upset the dog. I don't want to see the dog at their worst. I've seen it before. I have reactive dogs of my own. I know what it looks like. I don't need to see it. Any positive trainer will tell you the same thing. I don't really need to see your dog at their worst. I've seen it before. I'm good. I've had to actually stop people from triggering their dogs, so please, I don't need to see it. If you want to get it on video, if it happens organically in some day-to-day situation, fine. But please don't trigger your dog for my benefit. The protocol for dealing with all the different types of aggression is pretty much the same. I have had a lot of trainers say it's exactly the same. You're going to desensitize the dog to the trigger, and you're going to counter condition the response to it, and it doesn't matter what the trigger is or what the dog's motivation is. I used to kind of fall into that camp. Now I have learned that there is somewhat of a difference in how I want to approach something, how much counter conditioning I need to do before I can do sensitization, or if I need to do desensitization before I can do counter conditioning, and what games I want to use when. But the general process of exposing the dog in a very low, mild setting to the trigger, and then counter conditioning their emotional response to that trigger stays the same. That's pretty universal. So again, when dogs are aggressive, it's usually because they're fearful, so do keep in mind this is like emotional therapy for a dog that doesn't speak the human language. Human therapy, when we do speak the same language, takes years often to recover from whatever emotional trauma people have. So you can imagine how difficult it would be for dogs to recover from an emotional trauma with a being who is not of the same species and does not speak the same language. As much as I would like to be able to speak dog, I can only do certain things to avoid making them upset. I don't actually speak dog. And so I just wanted people to know that there's hope and it doesn't have to be ugly, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.